since the start of doing the show. I've learned that I'm not alone in this journey in life, and that's I'm grateful for it. I'll say that. I'm grateful for not being for having to know that somebody else is not somebody else is also healing. From some of the similar things that I've kind of expressed on the show, knowing that there is there's hope for positivity, there's hope for the future, there's hope for being a better, a better person at this thing called life, and trying to better ourselves so that we can better our families. And if we better our families, we can help our families can help their friends, and if their friends can help their families, it just goes on and on. It's a ripple effect. So this show has taught me that there's many things that we've gone through and we're still here to tell the story, and that and about being the voice of the voiceless, and that there's so much that we can do and socialize with one another. And I've just been in a fortunate position to continuously work at something in hopes that it shifts somebody's mind and it sparks the brain to change the world, as Pac would put it. And I like to give different perspectives. I love to look at things from perspective and not to look at shit from right and wrong. And because once you do, that's it. Like, you've decided that that's the cap on it. You live life through right and wrong. You're gonna feel down. But if you look at things from perspective, you can constantly change your perspective on how you see things. And I think that's one of the keys in life, is knowing that we can shift our perspective whenever it doesn't look appeasing to us at the time. I believe that we can shift our perspective and allow us to look at things from a positive standpoint, while also embracing the negative stuff that comes with it. To live a life, to not think that things don't have a negative effect. It's just that you don't allow it to bother you. Like, you don't let it take you over. You don't attach yourself to your thoughts, number one, and because you're not your thoughts any more than me sitting in this chair, that I'm the chair. No, I sit on the chair, so it's, you detach from it. That's like Seguru's quote that really just stuck out to me, how we attach ourselves to our thoughts, and we think that the thought is us, and it's not. It's just a thought. So let it pass like ships in the night, and stay focused. But doing this show taught me about a lot of the mentors, how they've helped shift my mind in hopes to share their knowledge and put it in a way that I've interpreted it to give it to my tribe. The censors. Shout out to the censors. Every last one that watches the show, each time that you do, I'm truly grateful for you. But I'm grateful for the likes of Jay Shetty, Jordan Peterson, Brene Brown, Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Earl Nightingale, Rollo Tomasi, Richard Cooper, AMS, Steph is Cold. Hell, even Fresh and Fit, sometimes they can be eccentric at times, but yeah, some of the stuff they touch on, is very spot on. But you got to know how to filter out the entertainment aspect of it. It is a show; it must be entertaining. Same with AMS. AMS is funny as shit. But learning from them and then being able to share that with my peers is the gift that keeps on giving. And constantly learning. And that's what I love about the show, because it constantly makes me want to learn. I want to know as much as I can, so I don't want to speak on some shit I don't know, and I won't. And so the beauty of it is that I love being a student. I love being a student to the people that I value. Number one, I love listening to them teach me how to love them by just watching them, especially kids. I really enjoy talking with kids, because they're especially the younger ones. Teenagers are straight too, but for the most part, the younger kids tend to speak their mind more frequently and more freely than us adults who have gone through trauma and think that people don't value what we have to say. So to listen to a child talk about how they view life at the time is very much, it's insightful. It's very insightful to see, like my little cousin. I was home to Salisbury not too long ago for a family event, and I just got to sit with him and just watch him and my godson, which is also my little cousin. I just got to watch them talk and just learn from them and how they see things, you know what I'm saying, at that particular age, and remembering where I was at that point in time, my mindset when I was that age. So it's just like learning different things to share with the tribe, you know what I mean? And really just that conversation that we all have together. And just doing the show, another thing I learned from doing the show is that mental health puts us all in the same room. Doesn't matter how rich we are, how poor we are, how popular we think we are, how unpopular we believe we are. But we've all gone through trauma. We've all faced some form of PT. I believe most of us have faced some form of PTSD in our life. And when we have a chance to discuss these things, like on mental health, like in therapy or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just the conversation of like mental health brings everybody in the same room, you know what I'm saying? It allows everybody to have a perspective. And that's what I enjoy about doing this shit, you know what I'm saying? This is not about me pretending to be a therapist or pretending that, I'm a mental, anything that needs a license in mental health. I'm just a proponent. I am definitely an advocate for mental health. And so this platform has enabled me to share that love with those that look like me and that may not be able to digest it unless it's put in a certain way. So I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to come in front of the camera and discuss these things from different perspectives that we probably hadn't looked at before, so that you can, be a better parent, be a better father, mother, be a better person, be a being, number one, you know what I'm saying? Be a human being. Remember that anything more is extra, you know what I'm saying? Anything outside of the soul is that of the ego. And whenever we try to do more than being human, we fuck up. So it's just keeping that in mind, that we're just human, and that to just focus on being a better you daily, you know what I mean? But I've learned a lot. Definitely learned a lot doing this show. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about my family. I've learned a lot about friends. I learned a lot about my tribe, if you will, and in hopes of learning how to love them, and in better ways, them teaching me how to love them, how to improve with the show. I mean, if you look at the show from the beginning, how it started out, very brash and maybe even arrogant at times, individual with still some, I would say, emotional intelligence being shown, but definitely more maturity with it, being more comfortable in front of the camera, not being so much nervous, and just all of that is really just acting out of nervousness. So that ego was to help build that confidence to talk in front of the camera, and now just being more secure, more mature, and being able to talk to my peers on various topics that we cover on the show. So I've learned so much from doing this, and I'm just very grateful for everyone that has taken time to check out each episode. My favorite interview thus far on favorite person to interview thus far on the show is definitely my best friend T.Dot. You know what I'm saying? Because we are so intertwined mentally, from an emotional intelligence standpoint, from a knowledge standpoint, and we just get it. She just gets me. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the experiences that we've had, very similar experiences we've had in life, coming from where we've come from in Virginia, and just dealing with our families, dealing with narcissism, dealing with PTSD, dealing with just pain and pain in general, and being able to be the rose that grew from the concrete, as Pac, discussed that the book that he has, the poems, and like his poetry and all that stuff, the rose that grew from the concrete, and just being grateful, man, for her love through the years, unconditional love. We have definitely been through some shit together. We have definitely spent time apart. We've came back together. We've lost people, or returned them rather. We've had to return some people in our lives, but so far, I mean, we've just been we've had each other's backs, and just very grateful for her mind, her wisdom. It's been that way since we were kids too. Very much was an inspiration for me, especially when it came to public speaking. We used to do youth worship together at Grove Baptist Church, and she got tried to get me to do it, and I did, and it was uncomfortable, but it was something that I got used to doing. But from the start, it just looked like Carl was just destined. She was just destined, man. There was an aura about her, and I'm just grateful to be able to call her one of my best friends, truly. So yeah, if you guys get a chance to listen to one of the episodes, where like Interview with Rome episode, or the J.E.T.Sense exclusives episodes with T.Dot, you definitely will learn something. You will definitely fall in love with her spirit. She is by all means amazing to my life, amazing to my productivity, if you will. A compliment, very much a compliment in life. You know what I'm saying? Just someone that I value, and will continue to protect the best way that I know how to. So anyway, that's one of my favorite people to interview on the show. T.Dot, I love you, and yeah, let's get this money. What were your favorite topics to talk about on the show? One of my favorite topics to discuss on this platform is definitely the inner child. The inner child is like tracing your actions back to the roots. So when I speak on the inner child, it allows me to see where I've came from, and to study you today is to study you of yesterday, and figuring out how the fuck did I get here? How did I get to this position as a man, where I find myself in the same predicaments, and I'm not even sure how I got here. So if I can trace back to my inner child, I'll see where I did not feel loved, where I faced trauma, where I went through pain, where my emotional needs were not met. So I decided to do this to comfort myself. Hence the porn addiction. You know what I'm saying? Not being able to accept love from a long-term standpoint. Not being able to feel worthy of being respected in a relationship, because of what things that were done, that I allowed to be done to me in the past. That inner child, all that inner child work will show you exactly how you've made certain choices, your programming, if you will. Your inner child programming is something that I recommend be studied like nobody's business, because what it does is highlight all of which that we've gone through and where it comes from, who caused this, who put these voices in your head and told you that you weren't lovable, who said that we weren't enough. That's not something that you would tell anyone, but for whatever reason, you've told yourself this shit. Like, that's where the inner child work is at its best. So it's like learning how to change your programming, right? And I take great pride in reprogramming myself and having to go at it alone, if you will, because when you live in the matrix, most people are living according to a way that they didn't even choose for themselves. They're just doing what everybody else around them was doing. And when you decide to do what's best for you, you're going to piss a lot of people off. And because they're so used to you being this way. But when you start prioritizing what's best for you, what's healthy boundaries and emotion, like emotional needs, your emotional needs being met by yourself, and you having to set boundaries with them, you realize who was controlling you, who felt like they had control over you when you start doing what's best for you. And I've been on both sides of the coin for it. I've been the one that thought I had control over this shit, and then this person decided to better themselves, and then I don't really know how to act. You know what I'm saying? And then I've been the person that decided to make the change, and that person didn't know how to respond to my improvements for myself. So it's and you're not responsible for their insecurities. You're not responsible for how they feel. You're only responsible for what you say, and you don't even get to control how they feel about what you say. But it's just that level of responsibility that you have is like delivery. Delivery is very key, and you can deliver it in a harsh way. You can deliver it in a way that's a little bit more digestible. So that's just something for I say for myself to kind of think about. So yeah, inner child is something that I love to discuss. Identity. The identity episode was like a big. I think that was a big one for me, because it was something that I had discussed in therapy, and I just thought that would be kind of dope to kind of even to just touch on it. But who do I believe that I am? And then like I was reading A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle at the time, and kind of touching on this identity, like this attachment to this identity. Like if I believe, the best example is like if I believe I'm a nice person, a nice guy, I'm not going to do anything that would have anybody look at me differently than being a nice guy, even if it means defending myself. So I would rather focus on how I look than how I actually feel and am, you know what I'm saying? And that's like, if somebody were to want to pick a fight with me as a nice guy, or does something disrespectful, and I don't speak up, it's because I'm trying to hold on to one perspective, One perspective is that I'm not going to hit you because I'm worried about how I'm going to look to you, versus my boundaries that you cross clearly. And I have to set a boundary with you. I have to show you that I am to be respected. Otherwise, you're going to keep doing the shit. But that's like the attachment to the identity. Like a nice guy is not going to put himself in a position that would make you look at him like otherwise than him being a nice guy. And it's like understanding that you're not attached to anything. You're not attached to an identity. You may look at me one day and say that, oh, he's a nice person. He's a kind person. You may look at me another day and say, I don't really care for what you just did. I'm human. I was just as human as that nice person you were talking about. And I'm just as human as the person that you believe is a dick or does something that you don't necessarily care for. But I'm just as human as you are. You don't know what I had to go through to get to where I am and what I'm battling, which has nothing to do with you. And that's the beauty of that's another thing I love to talk about. The 4 agreements is, nothing anyone does has anything to do with you. It's all about what they're going through within themselves. But we tend to make shit about us. And I am grateful, very grateful for those moments where I can just detach myself from something and see how it's not part of my identity. Because sometimes your ego will attach itself onto something, and you really believe you are this shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's both positive and negative. One minute you believe like you the hottest, you know that you hot shit. Next minute you believe like you're the worst shit ever. I'm the worst mom. I'm the worst dad. I'll never get this thing down. And it's like ego, man. Ego. It's like not having a fixed mindset, a growth mindset. Like this shit happened, but I can learn from it. You know what I mean? Like I fucked up, but I can learn from it. I don't have to be solely done with the fact that because I didn't get my kid a fucking Christmas present that I'm a bad parent or some dumb shit like that, some materialistic shit. I'm actually here. A kid might remember them toys when they get older, but I can tell you from experience, if you don't build an emotional relationship with your kid, you're not going to have a relationship with them when they become an adult, man. Like dead ass show. And how can you blame them for that? You've never taught them how to do. They can't do shit they've never been taught. They're only they're children. You know what I'm saying? They're only going to do what they've been taught until they are old enough to where they can decide on their own. And that takes breaking a cycle to do so. And so don't hold on to, I say not holding on to this idea of being a bad parent or whatever. It's all ego. Like I said, it's just our ego thinking that, you know, we know everything. We don't know enough. We don't know enough to be a pessimist. You know what I'm saying? There's still more information to come out that can help us resolve a situation. But I am truly grateful for the information that comes up from these topics. Another topic of discussion that I like to really get into is masculinity, of course. And because it was something that I didn't really come from, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't really spoken about. These I'll say principles that I keep for myself mentally every day and how I govern myself when I engage with people, that to cover myself like a masculine man, a man worthy of respect, and to not be disrespected and walk away from any sign of disrespect, if you will. So when I'm able to talk about these things, young men that probably grew up the way that I did, that really wasn't talked about growing up, it can now shift their perspective, and maybe they can help their sons if they have any, or they can teach their daughters what that should look like, what that can look like in a man of potential mate or something like that, and just engaging. But being able to lead, and being able to hone in your emotions, to have emotional intelligence, to conquer yourself, number one. Being able, if you conquer the enemy within, the enemy outside of you doesn't stand a fucking chance. And most of the time, our battle is within. All our battles is about what's going on the inside. How do you manage triggers? How do you manage your emotions? How do you deal with conflict? How do you deal with confrontation with another man? How do you deal with confrontation from a woman? How do you handle emotional outbursts? How do you respond to these things? These are things I didn't really pay much attention to. I used to respond how the nearest parent did. I hung around my mother. So I responded the way that I saw my mother deal with conflict. You know what I mean? And once you learn what it is to be man, it changes things for you. You ask yourself, friends, ask yourself about, especially women, ask yourself, the men that you've been in relationships with and in confrontation, how did they respond? Did they respond like what you deem a rock of what a man would, can be for his family? Or did they respond in an emotional outburst like that of probably, the feminine? You know what I'm saying? And most of us don't think about these things because it was never brought to our attention. So it's not something for men to kind of beat themselves up about, or even be pissed at me for talking about this shit because you probably do the shit. But it's recognizing, damn, that's why I did it. And that's why I love mental health, because it's an education of our behaviors, and you can learn from it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay, I responded like that. hone that shit in. Conquer yourself. You know what I'm saying? Deal with yourself, deal with your emotions, embrace them. And Thich Nhat Hanh is another one that, I like to study. And he just taught me a lot about how to fight. It was a book. I actually thought it was going to be on fighting. It was actually about mental health and Buddhism and you know what I'm saying, like recovering from suffering and all that shit. It's like somebody puts your house on fire. Are you going to go and try to put their house on fire? Or are you going to try to put out your own fire first? So, because your house is going to burn down if you try to set their house on fire. So it's like taking care of your own shit first. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no control over what you say to me. I do control what I allow gets to me. I choose to suffer. I choose to be offended. I choose to not be offended. You know what I'm saying? Like, having that much control over your mind is so powerful, and it'll protect you against those who wish to do harm or project their pain onto you so that they can get a rise. But when you're, at peace with oneself, they can't really fuck with you. So I like studying masculinity because it gives me the tools that I need to survive out here as a man, especially a man that's out here by himself. And it keeps you protected. It allows you to be a rock for your tribe. It allows you to be a protector. It allows you to lead. And definitely, and don't misconstrue that men are not able to like cry and shit like that. That is what your brotherhood is for. Okay, you use your brotherhood. That's where that's where iron sharpens iron. I'm very grateful for the many brotherhoods that I have between the friend groups of these men that I know in my life. All of them, every last one of them, man. Knowing that we can turn to one another to kind of bounce ideas and call each other out on our bullshit. You know what I'm saying? If ever we acting like a bitch or something like that, or if it's like, no, you're not crazy, man. She just gaslighting you. And you know what I'm saying? Once you recognize that, there's so much growth that comes with being a man and being better for your families, being better for your jobs, being better for yourself ultimately. So, so I would say those are some of the topics that I've enjoyed talking on this show. I'm not able to thank my peers enough for being the censors enough for watching these episodes, these clips on TikTok, being, again, those who actually know me, being in conversation with me, all these conversations that we have, the way I ask questions, it has definitely inspired me to do what I do each episode, and trying to better myself, but also influence those who watch it so that they can switch their perspectives in hopes of bettering their lives or seeing things from a different lens that you may not have had before. And so vulnerability is a strength. Not everybody has the rights to your story, though. That's the one thing to keep in mind. But know that vulnerability is your strength, and especially for us men. And I'm very grateful for God and His universe and what He's allowed me to experience so that I can even do this. Had I not gone through what I've gone through, these episodes don't happen. So this is part of just taking your story and sharing it with the world and allowing them to heal from it, and you healing from it as well. Because in order to heal, you have to reveal. You know what I'm saying? So I've been grateful. I'm grateful for this platform. I'm grateful for you, the watcher, the subscriber, the listener, the censor for that matter. But here's to the next episode. I look forward to more things to come from Ask Rome. And be sure to listen to the podcast wherever you can listen to the podcast, Spotify, iTunes, wherever else that it's fucking on. Just look at the shit that be popping up there on the fucking screen, and then you'll see what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, thank you guys for always tuning in. I'm out. Good night, kids.